the farther away from the nipple you get toward the outer boob, the farther away you're getting from homeostasis.
Yeah.
And of course,
it's getting real weird there.
if you go off of the boob, you break. That's no good. You don't want to.
Hello, welcome and welcome back to Kettlebell Corner. I'm Roger, and this is Jeremiah. And today we're going to talk about, I know I did that in a weird way just to throw you off.
Okay with that.
All right, today we want to help you understand how to build a program. And this was probably a couple-parter.
Yes.
Okay, it's definitely a couple-parter.
12 parts probably.
At least a 12-parter. So buckle in. This is going to be important. And, programs, first of all, let's say, usually are very specific. So you should know who you're making this program for. And we don't know who the hell you
Why are you talking about programs? You didn't even tell people why we're talking about programs.
Okay,
We had a question.
Okay. Go ahead, tell them.
They asked you not.
Okay, that's true.
I don't have access, just so you know, I don't have access to email or bank accounts.
That's for good reason, trust me.
I'm actually being held against my will.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so, he hasn't eaten since our last video. So we got a question, and this user asked, how do I use this app? I got the premium.
It was the Bells app.
The Bells app. Let's be clear.
You're really bad at this stuff.
Yeah, that's all right. They're getting it. If this is your first time watching this, go watch some others and catch up. If it's your first time watching it, then you'll see that we just do this. And he asked, how do I use this app and what's it for? And I got the premium. Is that enough? And that sparked a little bit of thought in my mind. So yes, the premium is enough. If you're just trying to work out. Probably, yeah, I guess. If you're just trying to work out. However, if you're somebody that has some specific goals in mind, a common one in the kettlebell world is like a half body weight press.
Okay.
That's a pretty common one. And I think that'll go in line with what we're going to talk about today. But I proceeded to tell them what it's about. And then it got us thinking, well, let's kind of show people what we think on building a program. So what do you got to do first? And do you need a program? No, I'm just kidding. We already have a video on that. Okay.
The short answer is no. And if you're looking for just basic stuff, that's cool. But one of the biggest differences between working out and training is intentionality. What are you really trying to do? So if you're trying to create a program, you need a goal. And I think that's a very, very reasonable thing. Okay,
goals first.
What is it that you're trying to do? If you don't know what it is you're trying to do, you can't achieve it. It's like, answer the question. Okay, what's the question?
You need to get to New York. Okay, how?
But you need to answer the question first before you can move on. You need to ask it before you can answer it, rather. So what is your goal? Now, it's kind of silly to do a podcast on goal setting when you don't have a goal. So we can make an imaginary one. Maybe we'll go in and out with some different goals, but I don't think that the thinking really changes. And that's really what we like to do, is rather than get specific and say, hey, let's do this many sets, this many reps, for this goal and this exercise. Let's look at the big things you need to think about in order to do this stuff for yourself. So, you need a goal.
Yeah.
Okay? You need to understand what that is. And then, in my opinion, of almost equal importance, where do you stack up relative to that goal?
Yeah, that makes sense. There's that phrase, don't train where you were, train where you're at to get to where you want to be. So,
sure. So, let's even say, let's not assume that someone is, taking a bunch of time off and they've gotten old and crusty. Let's assume somebody, and this is a common kettlebell goal. Just spoke to somebody the other day who wants to use kettlebells to advance kickboxing. Okay, so let's say you want to do, you want your workouts to mesh with your activities, and let's say it's kickboxing, MMA, jiu-jitsu, whatever. Okay, cool. Do you go immediately and do a super fancy MMA kettlebell program? And well, you see a lot of this stuff, a lot of the stuff marketed, and honestly, a lot of it's just bullshit.
Yes.
It's just regular ass kettlebell training.
It's regular ass kettlebell training in a fighting gym, I think, is the backdrop.
And don't get me wrong, there are some people who are really good with this stuff, but they all have one thing in common, and that's mastery of the basics.
Yeah.
And they train their people with the basics. It's not any, you don't have to do like the crazy, around the world swings.
And then like with a punch at the end.
Yeah, you don't need to do any of that. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
If you have some kettlebell knowledge, then we can talk about specializing. Okay, we can talk about getting really, really precise for an MMA goal. You don't understand how to use bells to begin with? Cool, no big deal. The cool thing is you need to go through a series of basic preparation.
Yeah.
So in the strength and conditioning world, people talk about general physical preparedness, and then you can specialize. Some people think all we do is general physical preparedness, and I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I do mostly.
Well, I'm talking about even with athletes.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I'm talking about like the best strength coaches in the world kind of do basic shit with their people, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Unless you've got injuries and people can specialize in that. That's a different thing entirely. Anyway, the cool thing about kettlebells is you can take the skill acquisition process, learning how to use these things or learning how to use them better. And that is really great to just get you in basic physical shape. You can get bigger, you can get stronger, you can get better endurance just in the process of learning the kettlebell. So that works really, really well. Yeah. Have you had that experience with your people?
Every single person, actually. And most of the people that I train are looking for just some general physical fitness. They just want to, some guy, he actually does a lot of Krav Maga, and he has noticed that, he's like, I want to get stronger. Then we want to build endurance. And we sort of combine it all, and now we've got this whole thing going where he just advances in all. And they have new people that are like, oh, this is really cool. I'm coming to see you twice a week. And now they're saying, oh, now I know I've got the swing, the single arm swing and the get up down. I can do this a third day, right? I'm like, absolutely. Now you can actually just do a whole session.
And the cool thing about that with kettlebells anyway is you don't need to change your movements very much. You can change an emphasis if you want to get, let's say, bigger and stronger. I'm a big fan of lots of squats and presses for that. Yeah, you can use other things, but this in particular I found is useful. So I'm using the same skill, I'm just using more volume, maybe more intensity. Yeah. I'm playing with time. I'm playing with what are called acute variables, the things that change exercise. When we do the next part, we'll talk about the acute variables and how to manipulate them.
And the ugly variables too.
Well, we don't want to discriminate.
Okay, that's fair.
So
we won't cut that dad joke out either.
No.
Okay. We don't cut anything out. To be honest,
So we can play with the specifics of that, but the general skills are not going to change. So that's what we have to start with. Okay, so we've got to get a goal. We've got to see where you are relative to that goal. Then, okay, so what are the big picture things? What is exercise? What's exercise?
It's a physical adaptation through some movement, right?
It could be.
Yeah, I mean, it's an expression of, well, let me get out the dictionary here.
So he's clearly making shit up.
Yeah, as I always do.
So lots of definitions are possible. If we look at the intention of exercise, which is probably a more specific way to
This sounds made up as hell right now, too.
So if we look at what is the point of exercise, it is to stress the body in a very particular way to cause a desired physical adaptation. So I want to be...
First of all, that was my next answer.
I stole it from him.
Stepped all over me.
So if you want to be bigger, you want to be stronger, you want to have more endurance, whatever your client, whatever those goals are, you need to understand that you need to send a very specific signal. So if we go back to, let's say, a half body weight press.
Okay.
And we want to, press half of your body weight over your head, you need to send a very specific message to the body in order to allow the adaptations that are going to allow that to occur. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily that you max out. We can play with numbers again. That's probably what we'll get to next time.
Yeah.
But you definitely need to convince the body to do something that it doesn't want to do. As a general rule, we like homeostasis. We want to stay kind of right in the middle of our safe place.
Oh, good.
We don't want to go.
No safe places here.
We don't want to go out. I was actually the other day. I could get in trouble for this, but I don't care. I was trying to explain.
Hey, look, how far are we into the video? If you made it this far, good.
I was trying to explain homeostasis to one of my clients. I said it's like a boob. Okay.
It's like
So
a what?
It's like
a
a boob.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you got
I'm
the
rolling with you.
you got the circle there, and then
Yeah.
you got the nipple in the middle.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. The nipple is homeostasis.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
That's where you want to stay. Okay.
You know, all these years I never thought.
And then you've got the rest of the outer boob.
Okay.
Okay. And the closer you get the farther away from the nipple you get toward the outer boob,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
farther away you're getting from homeostasis.
Yeah.
And of course,
It's getting real weird there.
if you go off of the boob, you break. That's no
Yeah.
good. You don't want to
Stay on the boob,
Stay
everybody.
on the boob. But the basic idea is we like to stay in the nipple, and
Okay. Yes.
in order to cause adaptation, we need to push people away from the nipple. Not so far that they fall off the boob. Okay.
We all have
Are you
nipples.
with me here?
Yeah, we all have nipples, so we can all relate to this.
So you need to push someone away from homeostasis,
Yeah.
but not so far that they break, and that is kind of the point of exercise.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes
we need
right up to that edge.
right up to the edge.
Sometimes just off the nipple. Sometimes just areola.
In most cases, like to be honest, and a little more serious, it usually doesn't take pushing that far.
Yeah,
But you need to send this signal consistently. So we need to think about, all right, what are the physical adaptations that I want? So we've got our goal,
Okay.
and then we need to figure out how to put those stresses, layer those stresses in to push people out of homeostasis far enough to cause a physical adaptation. And that might sound complicated, but it's ridiculously simple.
Okay, break it on down, homeostasis.
So once we get to that point, then we can start saying, oh, okay, so this is my goal. This is how I push the body away from its set point in the desired direction. And there's some things, again, we'll get to the variables next time. But now we're starting to get into sending the signal. And one of the big things you need to do, and we're still being extremely practical here, is what kind of time commitment do you have?
Yeah.
Now, anecdotally, okay, and he agrees with this with his training, we have both seen, both with ourselves and with clients, 3 to 4 lifting sessions a week is plenty. You can get, with kettlebells, you can do more, okay? You can do fewer, but...
I mean, hell, right now I'm only doing 2.
But, I mean, your strength is staying right where you want it to.
Double bell 32s, no problem.
So he's doing what he needs to do to maintain, what he wants to maintain, and that's really the point of this. So he has his goal, which is really running based right
So
now.
running a marathon, so.
But to maintain some strength.
But you have to, I love kettlebells. I love being strong, and I don't want to sacrifice and have some like wimpy runner body.
Okay.
You know, I want to be like, okay, so when I broke it down, I'm like, if I'm running 4 times a week, I can train kettlebells 2 times a week, and I can get a solid rest day, and for the next 5 months, I'll just roll with that.
And that's it. So clearly he has that, he went through that process we talked about. He identified a goal, he identified discrepancies. He actually didn't have a discrepancy in this case, okay? He wanted to make sure, though, that he gave himself enough of a signal to maintain his current state of strength. He did, he's tested, he's actually getting stronger. I can verify, through our workouts. Yeah. So this program for him is working, even though it's just a basic maintenance program. So this is the process that we need to go through, and then we need to figure out how frequently do you need to send the signal. So for beginners especially, I recommend, if you can do 4 sessions a week, do 4 sessions a week, because the more opportunity you have to learn, the more you'll learn, the faster you'll learn.
Yeah, and even with beginners, if that's your program route, you do have many factors inside that session, and you got warm-ups, you got the actual skills that you're doing and whatnot.
Sure.
If you're going 4 times a week, you don't have to feel like you got to cram everything into one or 2 workouts. You can spread it out a little bit and get some of these skills built up over the course of the week, and and not feel like you're overwhelmed.
But you bring up a really good point, and when you think about warm up and cramming stuff in, okay, so let's say, I can do 4 days a week, no problem. Can you really? When you look at your time commitment, you say, oh, can you work out an hour? Can you work out an hour 4 days a week? Oh, absolutely. Well, are you factoring in, even if you work at home, are you factoring in the time it takes you to get from your desk into your workout clothes, square away kids, cats? Are you fed? Do you need to grab a protein bar? Mm-hmm. By the time you actually get into your workout space, have you already lost 15 minutes? Because it's common that people do.
Yeah.
Then you've got to warm up because you've been sitting all day.
Yeah.
So let's say that takes you 20 minutes. You're already 35 minutes in in.
Damn.
Okay. And then, hey, right after this, I've got to be on a conference call, so I can't get super sweaty. So
Is this turning into a productivity podcast all of a sudden?
you want to think about what your actual constraints are. Now, we have the ability to work out for 15 minutes at a time because it doesn't take us that long to warm up. We've been doing this a long time. We've earned the right to train quickly. And we can get a really solid workout session in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
20 minutes, no problem. But that takes time and practice to do that. So you may not have that. So when you look at your actual lifting session commitment, do you have an hour? Do you just have an hour? Do you have 2 hours? Do you have just an hour to dedicate toward exercise? Yeah. Look at the practical constraints and then start building from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And review your goal too, because if you really want it, this is what it's going to take. That's just be honest. Yeah.
And you may find that your life doesn't accommodate that goal. So you should probably come up with something else.
Yeah. And it's okay if you got to change your goal, and it's okay to struggle at the beginning. Just show up.
So what do we got next?
Well, when it comes to making the program, there's a couple things to choose from Kettlebell. The two big categories we like to talk about is you have your grinds, which is going to be your squat, your press, your get up, and your ballistics, which is your swing, clean, snatch, and for shits and giggles, your push press if you're adding that.
If you want to throw those in there.
If you want those in there, it's like whatever. But if you take just those initial 6, sans push press, that's what you're going to essentially choose from for your exercise selection, because you do have to choose exercises that will get you to the goal to get you off the nipple.
But this makes things actually pretty easy. So let's say we've got, forget about push presses for now, just for the sake of
it. Yeah, I shouldn't even mention that. It's stupid.
So let's say we've got 6. That makes it easy. We've got 3 and 3. Now let's eliminate get-ups. Immediately, let's say you do them at the beginning of every workout.
That's part of bada bing, bada boom, that's a warm-up.
So you got that in your warm-up. So now all of a sudden you've got 5. So you've got 2 grind lifts and you've got 3 ballistic lifts. How do you want to combine those? Well, going back to your goal, let's say, can you use this method to hit a half body weight press? You absolutely can. I've done it.
Yeah, I've done it. In fact, I keep it that simple.
So, you've got, let's say 4 lifting sessions a week. I do pressing every time. I weigh the load, I weigh the intensity, the volume, all of these things. Again, that's for next time. But I'm still lifting. That's my main lift 4 times a week because that's my goal. Now, if I don't have that as a goal, maybe I'll have, 2 days will be more of a squat emphasis. 2 days will be more of a press emphasis. I can throw in some complexes where I do some lighter work with squats and presses.
Okay.
And then I can throw in some ballistics.
Yeah.
At the end of every workout. Mm-hmm. Some people say do it in the beginning. I see that rationale. I don't mind that. Really depends on how heavy you're going.
Yeah. And I think, if you're using, and also I think your skill level too, because if you're proficient with kettlebells, now you got your get-ups, you could toss in some swings at the beginning and really kind of just, like this call, bring your body online. Okay, now we're about to move some stuff. I've already fired my legs up, and you're going to obviously need to clean to get into the press. So now you've got that sort of path going.
We've always got to go back to what's your goal.
Yeah.
If your goal is, let's say, do 100 snatches in 5 minutes, or you're doing the snatch test, well, you probably don't want to do your snatch training after a grind workout.
That's exactly the point, right? So keep the main thing first, right?
That's great. And that's pretty basic. So, once you work with your basic exercises, you can kind of split them up and say, okay, well, what do I want my focus to be? Do I not have a particular focus? Then, let me play with, okay, so let's say I'm just doing very, very basic, 4 days. I will have 2 days of press emphasis, 2 days of squat emphasis. So I'll do more, either that or I'll go heavier.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll do a little bit of each on every day. So, you can do a complex get up to start. And now you maybe will pick 2 rotating ballistics that you kind of play with at the end, or even 1. You don't need to do, you've already done a clean. So you can, to get things in position.
Check.
So maybe you just decide to alternate between swings and snatches. And maybe you have a particular goal that makes you want to do one more than another. For me, let's say I'm doing presses, I find that heavy two arm swings really translate well to getting my pressing strength up. So
like that.
maybe I'll do on my press workouts, I'll do short sets, nothing more than 5 of heavier two arm swings. And for my squats, I tend to take a slightly wider stance when I do snatches anyway, and there is a little more vertical trajectory there. So that might be a good companion for a squat.
Yeah, hit some squats and fire off some snatches.
So there are lots of ways to do this, and there aren't really many. There are some wrong answers. There's always a wrong answer.
Okay.
There aren't many wrong answers, but this is just a basic way to start looking at things. So if we review, you've got to go back. You got to get your goal.
Got it.
You got to see where you are relative to your goal.
Okay. Yep. Starting point.
Then we go back and we say, okay, what kind of stress do I need? Because that's the nature of exercise. And then we pick our lifting commitment. We want to make sure it's compatible with our life.
Yeah.
Okay?
Doable.
Okay. So can I actually get 4 solid sessions in a week? For some people, it's a breeze. For some people, it is very, very difficult. And then you want to think about what are the basic tools that you're going to use, and starting with the 6 basic lifts, especially as a beginner. If you're not a beginner, you're probably not watching this.
Yeah. Or you know what? Maybe you've been coached the whole time, and you're like, I finally want to just start making my own stuff, and this is a great thing for that too.
It's really not hard once you start working stepwise, and you understand, you understand what it is you want to do. And sometimes it's really, again, it's just preferences. There will be months where I don't want to do anything but heavy double clean and press. And that is literally the only exercise I will do for a solid 2 months. And my strength increases.
Yeah, and I'll tell you straight up, like this particular month and this point in my training cycle, one training session is just double bell clean and jerk. Clean it, jerk it, clean it, jerk it. And
Sure.
That's the whole session. I mean, aside for some other nonsense, the warm-up stuff.
Sure, but he's also running, and when I'm doing that exercise, I'll often do some boxing or some other things. So we've got other things going on. I love to take long walks as well to balance things
On
out.
the beach?
Not usually, no.
No, he hates the beach.
I'm pretty pale.
We're pretty close to it. Hates it.
So you can also factor in personal preferences too. But when you have these basic questions and you get those answers, then it's pretty easy to build something, and then you see if it works.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, a good goal, part of a good goal is something that you can verify. Like it's something that is very specific. If it's a running goal, okay. So
can you go
run
the
a
extra
marathon,
mile?
run a marathon without dying. Check.
Yeah. Mine is just finish marathon, walk the next day.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
That's the goal.
So let's say he does that, then he's got a better goal or
will.
more specific. Okay.
Because if you train for it, you will get it.
I don't think that's necessarily true.
It's absolute.
But you can sharpen your goals as you go along. But you got to start with asking these basic questions, and then you'll see it will take shape. It's really not that complicated if we can do it.
And here's another cool bonus point about programs, and I think this is very apropos. Okay, fancy words. Programs will probably need to be fluid. I mean, it's not set in stone. You're going to see like, oh, this is to the checkpoint comment. It's either going to be working or it's not going to be working. If it's not working, you're going to have to change it. And it's okay to change and feel the program out. You're usually working in, certain amount of time with a specific aspect of your goal, whatever that is, whether it's 4 weeks, 16 weeks, whatever it is, you're working within that aspect. And if something needs to adjust in there to make it happen, to get you to that next step, then that's what you need to take. And you just need to constantly, not only did you evaluate where you're at the beginning, you need to reevaluate as your program goes through just to make sure you're continuing towards, because boy, oh boy, it sure would suck to show up and do that half bodyweight press and you realize, oh, I did the wrong program, and now you just have to run that treadmill and lose 3 pounds, and then you can finally do it.
That may or may not be true. I think we should make that a future episode.
Okay, very good. That would be a good one. We can all relate. Is that it?
I can't relate. I've always shown up prepared.
Well, whatever. We're not going to get into
That's why I don't,
phoning in your snatch test, okay?
that's why I don't have very many friends.
That's right.
All right,
You're looking at him, and maybe one other if you even watched it this far. All right, that's it?
I'm done
I'm done with that too. All right, so handle those things. All right, we're going to come at you next with how to break down what goes inside of a program. And be sure to download the Bells app on iOS platform and like and subscribe. I don't have to say it, do I?
I don't know. Probably doesn't hurt. You already
It's
did.
probably too late. Anyways, thanks. Stay strong.